Hello, my name is Becca Heyer. I am the head coach at Bellevue West High School, and I'm excited to share some information about POI today. Just a little bit about me. I've been the head coach at Bellevue West for 17 years, and in that time, we've seen some decent success in POI, so I'm excited to share that with you today. We've had a couple of state champions. We've had a number of kids in the state final round in POI, and we were fortunate enough to have a national finalist at the 2022 National Speech and Debate Association's National Tournament. So I'm excited. Let's get started. So just a few things with POI. POI does not have a ton of rules because POI is really the place where students and coaches are allowed to create a very unique experience for themselves as well as for the audience. So you can see the rules on the screen there. A couple of things that I just want to touch on a little bit more than what's written there. So first of all, that you must use 2 genres of literature when you're building a POI program. We should see the 2 different, if you're only using 2 genres of literature, we should see the 2 genres of literature throughout the entire piece to help really construct the argument. And then the other piece there that I want to make sure that I note is the speaker must have the manuscript in their possession during the performance. In fact, it is encouraged that people who do POI use the manuscript to help develop their performance and use it as a prop. So please make sure that when your students are performing POI that they keep that manuscript in their possession. I also want to note on the side here of disqualification that not using 2 genres of literature will get you disqualified, and then not being in possession of the script. So what that means is if the student's in the middle of performance, they can't set it down on the floor and then walk away from it and continue the performance. At that point, that would be grounds for disqualification. Okay, so a few things. This is just how we create some buzz on our team to get POI going. And that is my student, Robin Boylan from 2022 there on the screen. So we show videos of POI to kids. Now we can pull those off of YouTube. We can pull them from the NSDA website. Of course, there's been POIs now recorded from the NSAA Best of the Best. So you have that option as well. And the great thing about POI is that every single performance, every single program is different. There really is not a formula that creates the perfect POI or the best performance or the best POI. So what we look at as T-Birds is, can we find a kid who is strong in analysis, and can we find a kid who also has a little bit of acting prowess behind them? In our case, we've seen the most success from kids who have written oratories and then also decided they wanted to dabble in acting. That was Robin's case. She ran an oratory for most of her career at West, and then when POI became an NSAA event, she jumped into POI as well, and that was clearly a good choice based on the picture you see there in front of you. And then the other thing is that, like, in terms of coming up with a topic for POI, it really is about what's important to the student. So one of the things that we always look at is what can students bring to the table, right? Because POI should challenge the audience to look at something differently, to think about something differently, maybe even change their mind about an issue in the world, maybe even an issue that we as adults and judges don't know anything about. The kids certainly have an eye on things that need changing in our world. And so we talk to the students about what's most important to them. In Robin's case, just to provide you with an example, her senior year POI was about Black women surviving in white spaces. And she talked about that through the guise of Black hair and how different her hair is when she wears it naturally versus when she straightens her hair to try to subscribe to the white ideal that is often, or that was often, expected of her. And so when she put this together, she then jumped into finding literature that that celebrated her Blackness, but then also showed why Black women often had to change their hair to get the professional job, to be accepted into college, these kinds of things. And it was really, her piece ended with a reclaiming of her heritage and being proud of the fact that she was a Black woman who was also successful. So one of the things that we do when we work with kids on this is we think about it like a bunch of Legos. So if you were to take all the Lego sets in your house and take them out of the box and dump all the Legos into one container and toss out any directions that you might have from those kits, and then you just start to build from there. POI is really like that, where you have access to any lit in the world that you can get a hold of that's publicly accessible, and you can use that in a program. And then from there, you start to construct an argument to help us understand what is it that you want to change in the world? What is it that you want us to believe or consider? And one of the things that Dan and I use when we work with POI kids is this piece right here that I got from Matt Hymas a few years back. And it is the POI program development. So I would like to clarify a couple of things regarding POI insofar as POI is not DI, it is not poetry. It also does not have to be serious, but it does need to have a point. And so part of the way that we develop that is through this document, because it helps focus kids. So oftentimes the kid will have like this really broad idea, and then they need to develop a thesis around that to really focus in on what is it that you want to argue? What do you want us to get from your program? And then from there, they have to determine like, what kind of argument do you actually want to create? So there's 3 options that we provide for them on this document. Most certainly there are more than 3 different types of argument, right? But this is just a way to help kids understand like, hey, if you need to pick one of these, this will help you to focus. And then the other piece, you get into like just an explanation of what good arguments are, right? The thing that we tell kids all the time is, if you want to put a POI together that everybody already agrees with you on, where's the challenge? Where's the argument, right? So they have to find something that is thought-provoking, something that is inclusive and specific, so that we know this is different, this is new, and it's important. And then when you scroll down here, you can see where it says questions. And so these questions here are for the student to answer about their program. Like, what is it they actually want us to get from their performance? And then we also, of course, encourage them to look at finding material that addresses some of these cultural lenses. Most certainly, we would not encourage them to use many of those. Typically, we ask a kid to find maybe 1 or 2 cultural lenses that they want to use when they put together their program. And then down at the bottom here, it just gives you an idea of different types of documents that they can use to create their program. So again, I have to point out here that every single document that let me back up. Every single piece that they use should be seen multiple times throughout the program, because the other thing that is important is that the students have Freitag's pyramid within their performance, because if they don't, then we're going to lose sight of what that argument is. So it's important to notice that the argument itself does need to follow a dramatic structure, just like what you would expect from, say, a DI or an HI, something of that nature. So there we go. Okay, so I have Freitag's pyramid here. And that, of course, that's, just the dramatic structure that we've taught kids for years. So once you get the program built, and again, like think of it like a Lego set, we should see different things building throughout the course of the program up to a climax, of course, where we see a change, and then we see the falling action and the conclusion. when it comes to the actual performance of POI, the thing that I always tell kids is what is going to be visually interesting to really enhance your argument. Because by this point, they've built this beautiful argument, and now they get to really showcase what kind of an experience can they create for the audience. So whether that is using the book to create a laptop, or using the book to create a wall, or to write a love letter, right? You can use the book in very literal ways. You can also use the book in very abstract ways to create pictures around the argument that you've put together, or that the student rather has put together. And so as far as POI performance goes, I mean, we should see a character or an idea that grows and changes and then lands at the end by showing us, hey, here's the issue, here's what I want you to think about. So in the case of Robin's piece, as I mentioned earlier, she used her book a lot to show that oftentimes she was expected to be more domestic. So you'd see the book as a mixing bowl, or you would see the book as pancakes, because she had a piece about Aunt Jemima in there. She then eventually started to use it as the book as a piece of power as she grew, and as she learned how to style her hair in a more natural fashion and things. And so then you started to see how that character, the Black woman that we follow through the entire performance, you got to see visually how that character changed, along with the verbal pieces with the literature that she had put together. So at the end of the day, this really is an opportunity for kids to showcase, hey, I think this is a really important topic. I really hope people consider this idea, and I hope that they want to make changes, whether that be in their own personal lives or in the society at large. And then it also is an opportunity for those creative kids who can build those kinds of arguments to showcase different types of performance, because it can be interpretive, it can be literal, and at the end of the day, it creates a very beautiful experience for audience members. So my biggest piece of advice for coaches and kids as they start working on this year is to know that there's no formula for POI, and that the sky's the limit in what you can create and in how you can perform it. So I hope that you have a ton of fun trying to put together POIs this year, and I hope that this year is off to an excellent start.